Welcome to Circuit of the Americas for the second round of the TC America Championships for the Touring Car R, the TCR, and the TCA divisions. And, of course, this year, a new division within Touring Car R called TCR Cup. Those classes will be setting sail here on this track for the second time this weekend, just outside of Austin, Texas. Great to have you with us. I'm Greg Kramer, joined by Calvin Fish, Ryan Marine in pit lane. And as they have pretty much throughout the weekend, Cal, these teams and drivers are dealing with cold conditions. The good news is the skies are a little bit brighter than they have been. The rain has let up, and it's not misting anymore. The track is dry, but it's cold.
It is cold. It's pretty breezy out there right now as well, so that may have a little bit of an effect on the car's handling. Maybe they're heading into a headwind somewhere, certainly the gearing and things like that. But good dry conditions and no problems in terms of guesstimating what sort of tire you should be on. Definitely Pirelli P0 slicks. And then we're looking at Mason Philippi coming off a brilliant victory here yesterday with that Velociter.
Yeah, it was a good run to be sure. And you take a look there, Nate Vincent really quick in the race. Had that little issue, of course, at the start. If you were watching the race yesterday, the coverage, he had that problem on the installation lap, but gathered it up and was able to come back after it. Good story here, the lone Alfa Romeo Giulietta in the field, fielded by Risi Racing, by a Ferrari Challenge runner with the Risi team for a lot of years. Mr. Walker doing a nice job, James did.
He just got quicker and quicker and laid down his fastest lap of the race on the very final lap. So he was learning quickly.
And then the 71 of Mike Hertzen, of course, teammate to Vincent in the FCP Euro Liqui-Moly Volkswagens. And last year they ran in what would this year have been the TCR Cup class in that configuration, but they stepped up and they've got the full spec or sequential gearbox in the cars. Great to see this name back in World Challenge competition, Alain Lazier, as he is running in the TCR Cup category, the number 47 machine, and just a great competitor, longtime competitor in a lot of different championships, and great to have him with us.
And essentially TCR Cup is all of the cars that have the DSG transmission system, so that's all of the Audis in the field here, and he's coming off a victory yesterday.
There, a look at the number 15 of Brian Putt, and again, he's coached by Kenton Cook, and he's relatively new to these cars. He's been doing some racing, and Kenton said he hasn't raced at this level in a while, and he said he got the pre-race jitters a little bit, and he came in afterwards and said, I don't know that I hit one apex right and all this. And he said, so we're working on just calming him down. We know he's got speed. He was in top 3 in a couple of the practices. Had a look there at Christian Cole. Here's the number 45 of Nelson Chan, again one of the TCR Cup machines, getting ready to head out on track for this one, and just a really stout field, obviously.
Yeah, it's nice that they split them up with the sequential gearbox from the Hyundai, the Honda, and the Alfa, and the 2 FCP Euro machines. Everyone else in this TCR Cup division.
Here's a look at the number 3, Michael McCann Jr., running out of the McCann Racing stable, and of course his father used to be a regular in GT racing in this category. There is Harry Chung. Now he is running in the TCR category with that Honda Type R, and having a very solid run from LA Honda World. There's Eddie Colleen from Tooth Autosport in the TCR Cup class. We talked about it before. They made one start at the Glen. Most of his racing has been up in Canada, and they came down and gave that a run and said, we just absolutely had a blast and decided to make a little bit longer haul to get here and be able to do some racing for the season in this championship, and great to have him along as well. There's Todd Archer. Todd having a little bit of an issue in the race yesterday and not finishing as well as he would have liked at the back of the field, but that covers the TCR and TCR Cup category. In the TCA class, this man in the Tech Sport BRZ Subaru just did an absolutely superb job. Nick Whitmer, of course, is blindingly fast in anything he drives, and he said, this year I'm going back to my roots, starting in, he ran a lot of Canadian touring car action in this similar type of a class. But the guy alongside, what a great story here, Mini, running in World Challenge once again, but this time in TCA spec form with the Mini JCWs. And Mark Pombo, hugely experienced.
He had a big run, cutting his way through the field. A great runner-up position, and lines up on the front row. This is our pole sitter from yesterday, Tyler Maxson. He had a great run going in the MX-5 Cup machine, and as the race wore on, he started to show really good pace as well in race conditions.
And here's a former TCB champion, PJ Gronke, coming down from Canada as well. Full season effort, second year with the Tech Sport team. And as you can see, that car, there's not a spot on it that doesn't have some sort of a sponsor. He has lots of small sponsors that makes his racing possible. Chris Haldeman here for X Factor Racing. Big program by X Factor, coming in here with a number of these Honda Civic machines, and just absolutely great to have them here. And Chris has been pretty quick, finished 5th in yesterday's race, and that's where he'll start today.
Yeah, great to see so many manufacturers involved in the TCA class as well.
And you see one of those Hondas actually up at the front as our pace and safety vehicle. And great to have that. That's the Honda Civic SI, of course, which is essentially the type of car that Tom O'Gorman took to this class championship. I think that one right there that Cole Cirillo is running might be that car with that blue color on it. And X Factor has picked it up. He's fielding a number of teams and is helping run Sally McNulty in her program as well. So they're very involved and putting together some really strong racing. You can see engines have come to life. Jenny Gannett also having a good run this weekend in her second season of racing in her Mazda from Ian Lacey and G3 Racing. There is a look at Danny Sufi, and unfortunately he had a problem, lost the transmission in one of the early practice sessions. But a great story here. His dad happens to drive the identical type of car, and they just scavenged it right out of Dad's road car, and that's what he's racing on this weekend.
I wonder if Dad knows.
Yeah. And another driver with an interesting story here. We'll talk about one of his teammates, Steven Zhu. But we are out and underway on the pace and installation lap here, and getting ready to go racing. Great field that has turned out here. This Touring Car A division has really come alive. It was created a few years ago, and with the concept of taking the Touring Car B spec rules, which is a very limited prep, and applying it to the Touring Car class to try and bring costs down. And they decided, let's give it a try as a separate category. And each year the numbers have just blossomed in a big field of those cars here this weekend. It's great to see.
Yeah, and last weekend they had a balance of performance test where they used the same driver to drive all of the different manufacturers, and that allowed them to do some technical tweaks over the last 7 days. And I think that showcased itself yesterday in seeing all of those manufacturers very much in the hunt.
And actually in that Touring Car A division, those Hondas, after the first race, and this is something that the Series and SRO Motorsports reserved the right to do, made a little bit more of an adjustment, took a little bit of extra weight off of those Hondas, and said they just needed a little bit more here, so we might see them even a little bit more lively as this race unfolds. Well, that Alpha is a unique and really cool looking car, isn't it?
Yeah, James Walker had a great day yesterday.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of friends and family here today. He's from the Woodlands, Texas, so local race for him. And he's run with a Risi Competizione team in Ferrari Challenge over the last couple of years, so he's got a great group behind him, lots of experience, some really talented engineers with Rick Mayer and his group there. And they're now the distributor for this Alpha in TCR competition for the United States.
That's great to see, and obviously that's a fairly legendary program, and to see them stepping up and moving over here, I think, is pretty impressive, no question of that. And James Walker may not have been racing as long as some, but he's got a tremendous amount of experience in the automotive world as an engineer in automotive engineering, and a master instructor for the SAE program as well, so knows his way around the car.
Mason Philippi had a handy advantage over the rest of the field by about 7/10, which gave him the pole position for today. But Nate Vincent, as you mentioned, Greg, had that technical issue on the formation lap, had to drive his way back through the field up to a podium run. So he's been the closest driver on pace to Mason, but he's got his work cut out today. That new Hyundai Veloster looks really potent indeed.
And when I say that Walker, jumping back to the Walker story, that he hasn't been racing as long at this level, he's been racing for a while, certainly. He formed a team back in the day called SCR Motorsports when they would run the Saturns in SCCA club competition. This, though, a little bit different deal, and great to see it. And interesting story on that Alpha, the first time it turned a lap on a dry track was Friday. So
pretty impressive.
It is.
His fastest lap of the weekend was the last lap of the race yesterday, so they're moving in the right direction.
And you see a little split here between the TCR and TCA Cup cars and the TCA machines. And the pace car has turned it over to Mason Filippi. And we will get this 40-minute timed round 2 of the TCA America's Touring Car R and TCR Cup and TCA classes underway. Onto the front straight we go. Across the finish line, but they will not get the green. The only time we'll see a flag from the start stand farther upstream is right now as that green comes out. And we are racing, and boy, Filippi getting a big jump.
Big jump, and just like yesterday, Walker gets a really good start as well, down to the inside. Yesterday we saw him be pretty conservative. Oh, big lock up there, a little bit further back. Is that McCann?
Yes. No, that's Cole. Yep.
Another silver Audi.
There were a couple of cars that locked up big. I think Vincent on the outside, or excuse me, Hertzen on the outside locked up a little bit as well. Was able to keep it under control, and as even carried a little bit of speed, he was able to sneak around Walker. So we got the 2 FCP Euro Liqui-Moly VWs running second and third behind Filippi.
Filippi grabbing his first TCR victory here yesterday. Impressive young driver. Look at the real time and Brian Herder Autosport groups last year. Learning his craft really quickly as the rest of the field streams through. Tires not up to 10 yet. You see some slipping and sliding back in that TCA pack.
They just get to it and get to it immediately in that category. There's the 72. Vincent under attack from his teammate Hertzen at this stage. They don't want to race each other too hard. A full course caution has come out in a safety car. Not seen the indication as to why yet, but they are definitely flying. It must have been those 2 cars that spun up in turn 1. And apparently one of them perhaps not quite able to continue. So we are under a early safety car here.
Start is under review, and I think for Mason Filippi, he really started to accelerate pretty aggressively quite a while before we in fact saw the green flag displayed. So I'm sure they'll analyze that. You can see he's got about a 4-car length lead there as they get to the stripe. And Walker, that great start once again.
Yep.
It's just the gear ratios or whatever and then we see Cole locking up there with the Audi, and
that pitched him into the 47 of Lazier, that orange and gray Audi.
Nice save by Lazier there.
Yeah, it was. And here's the reason for the caution.
Driver is out.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly who that is. It's got
Maxon,
it's got a same color pattern. Yep, Tyler Maxon is confirmed in that MX5 Cup car. That's a significant off.
Yeah, I saw a pole sitter from yesterday, podium finisher.
It's a tricky sequence of corners over in that area.
Safer barrier severely dislodged there, but hopefully they can get that remedy pretty quickly, and we can see some good green flag racing here. 40-minute sprint race.
Look there at the number 50 of Deena Weisberg. Nice to have her back in the championship. She and her husband John have run their own program on and off a few times, and this weekend coming in and racing with another team, but bringing the Redcom Labs support that they always have. That's great to see.
A little bit of a reset here.
Yeah.
Chance for everyone to think about what happened in those first couple of laps.
Well, you can see that field almost coming to a stop as the field compressing up into turn 1, but everybody aware of what was happening. That's good news.
See that massive elevation change from the start-finish line up to turn 1.
133 feet. Basically from pit out to turn 1, it goes up 133 feet. Is that 13 stories?
It's a lot.
A lot. Yeah, it is that indeed. Taking a look back, Whitmer hanging on with the lead.
Good start up to third in TCA.
You know, he had that great run over the years in Touring Car B, winning the championship. Last year, showed some really good speed, podiumed in both of the opening races as he stepped up to TCA with Tech Sport. And then it was like he just ran out of luck. And if he had any luck this season, it was all bad and just had some issues. And so I am sure he is as motivated as he's ever been here. And has always had the speed and showing it right now. Then Haldeman, who started 5th, up as well in a position up into 4th. In the number 69 entry from X Factor Racing, one of the group of Honda Civic SIs there.
Top 5 run yesterday, so we're hoping to repeat that today for sure. Massive field of cars here, as you can see.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy that I'm looking to see maybe make an improvement, finished 7th yesterday, is Nuremberg. You know from previous experience how quick he is, but he's been shuffled back just a little bit.
I wonder, he'd have been right around where Maxim was. I'm not sure if there was a little kerfuffle there coming through the S's.
That's a good point. Another driver I wanted to update, the 02, and that's Stephen Zhu, also running for X Factor Racing. He said at the end of the race, near the end of the race yesterday, ended up losing 3rd gear, and said we had to deal with that, and he said it's going to be interesting because they couldn't get it fixed in time for this race.
Oh, wow.
And so he's
got a lot around here.
Yeah,
so
he's got to drive around that, so he's thinking it's going to be a struggle. Young man who is really starting to show some speed in the SCCA Super Tour, which is the national championships, if you will, for Sports Car Club America in the Spec Miata category. We've talked about that many times before. If you're fast in Spec Miata and SCCA racing, you're quick. You've got some chops. Waiting to get word as to how quick they think that cleanup might unfold. Again, if the safer barriers really did the job and they didn't get into the actual barriers, it's more a matter of getting the car up on the hook and getting those safer barriers back in place.
Everyone leaving, so I think maybe the barrier is good, just getting that car finally onto the flatbed and out of the safety zone there.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So
one more lap, I would think, and we should see some green flag action.
As long as they get the indication that that track will be cleared in time, they will try and get back to green flag as fast as we can. Again, clock continues to run while we are under caution. And in a way, you mentioned before a little bit of a reset. A lot of these guys, no warm-up this morning or anything, so those first few racing laps were the first time they really saw the conditions of this track currently in anger. Now they've got that little bit of time to think about it. Not a lot you can do. You're not going to give up any track position to make any changes in pit lane, but you can think about it and say, okay, now what do I need to do? How can I adjust my driving to make up a little bit more time?
Yeah, and I think a lot of drivers just be thinking about how their initial start went. Can I do anything any differently? Obviously not a side-by-side start this go around, but a single file coming off that final corner. No passing can be made until you cross the stripe. The stripe's in a different position. The initial start a lot further down the road, as you mentioned, Greg. And on restarts, and the finish line is much earlier as you come off that final corner, turn 20.
We've been talking quite a bit about Walker and Reese in that beautiful Alpha. Let's hear more from Ryan Moran.
Tony Davati looks after this operation here for Giuseppe Reese at Reese Competizione, branching out into the TCR class this year. How exciting is that for this program?
It's fantastic. One of our great clients, James Walker, who raced with us in Ferrari Challenge and has raced historically in front-wheel drive cars, was looking for an opportunity to get back into front-wheel drive racing and touring cars, brought this program to us, and we decided to help him. So it's been fantastic.
And he was telling me earlier in the week he's been waiting years and years and years for his first chance to race professionally, and he gets to do it here this weekend. His enthusiasm was really remarkable. How does that seep into the team?
Well, the guys all have taken him under their arms. They love him. We're excited about him getting his first pro license as well. We're treating him as one of the teammates like our Ferrari drivers, so it's going to be a fantastic program.
so many guys come out of Ferrari Challenge and do well. We've seen that in this series in the past, whether it's in touring cars or in GT cars. What is it about that series that is so preparatory for drivers?
Well, it's a combination of the cars and the coaching. We're very fortunate to have Anthony Lazzaro driving in our car this weekend as well in the GT3 car. The funny thing is almost the entire podium yesterday was clients and customers of the Ferrari Challenge and Anthony. Anthony's coached a lot of gentlemen in the field, so it's a great building ground and starting point for these gentlemen to go racing and establish good coaching as well.
Finally, the early returns with this new Alpha. How has the team actually, it looks like we're going to be about to get restarted, so we'll let you go here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. And yeah, absolutely. It's great to see Reese. It's such a legendary program, really broadening the scope of their customer program and moving into some different categories as well. And certainly TC Americas and the SRO Motorsports America, absolutely fortunate to have them deciding to come and run here. Getting ready for the restart at this stage. Filippi and the Veloster N, bringing them around here, lights out, and he's trying to make sure he's got a little bit of breathing room to that pace car, isn't he?
He is, and he's supposed to let the pace car disappear effectively and then maintain the pace car speed and then accelerate smoothly off of that final corner. He got a bit of a jump on that initial one. The start was under review. No further action has been posted, but here he goes again. He is going early, and I'm not sure the stewards are going to like this necessarily.
Yeah, and the key word there was smooth, and he's jumping on it, no question. And look at the margin he's got once again as he comes up. And we are back to green. And one of the things that I like about how they operate in terms of a jump start scenario is they won't wave it off and eat up more time. They'll let it go green, and then they'll penalize. A big lockup by another. That's Brian Putt in the number 15.
It's it back under control. Fortunately, no one close enough to him to create any contact situation. McCann having a really nice run here. He leads the TCR Cup Brigade. The field starts to stream through these high-speed S's. These TCR cars, you can see them, they're really aggressive in their look and the aerodynamic effect that has on the race car, planting it to the floor.
And they really don't have any other type of driver aid. Whoa!
Super sideways there.
I think that was Lazier. Yep.
Got some car control, that man.
He does. But in terms of driver aids, there really aren't any in this category, and that's why here you see a bit more lockup than you'll see in some other categories of racing. Real aggressive moves straight to the apex here. That's the number 3 of McCann now, and the 34 of Walker. Get any kind of an over/under and drive off the corner a little bit. He got alongside early, Cal.
He did. This may be demonstrating the speed of that Alpha there. Running in a different division to the guys that he's around right now, running in the full TCR class versus the TCR Cup. See those Audis jockeying around for position right behind him.
Yeah, and that third of those Audis, that blue and white one, that's Brian Putt. We were talking about the pace that he has had in the practice sessions. His coach, Kenton Cook, said he didn't have the cleanest of races in terms of being smooth and as fast as he can be. And he had that little bit of a lockup, but it looks like that maybe has calmed him down. And if he races as fast as he can, this is going to be an interesting battle for this TCR Cup class.
Yeah, it's great to have the two divisions, because last year there was kind of an A and a B squad, essentially, even though they weren't separated officially. And this year they run for their own championships. Sequential gearbox cars a little bit quicker under acceleration.
Oh, and there's a big spin by McCann, and both Putt. No, that wasn't Lazier, that was Chan. Yeah, the number 45 also had to take evasive.
Did a great job. I thought he was going to roll back into them, so a little bit of luck, but certainly some great driving as well.
And Nelson Chan in the Alphasonic Motorsport Audi. Nice piece of driving.
Just showcases how treacherous it is out there right now. Tyre's still not up to full temp. Just loses it there, just gets sideways as he turns in. Can't keep the rear underneath him, and good evasive action there by Chang.
And obviously McCann able to get it straightened up and continue on. Problem here, that's the number 50 of Deena Weisberg, the Redcom Labs Copeland Motorsports Mazda. Looked like she I don't know.
She's just looking for a safe exit. Maybe some kind of technical issue with that car.
That's Lazier. Just overcharging that turn.
He certainly got through that left-hander with no problem.
Now, once again, when you're driving in a category that doesn't have driver aids, in this day and age when so many classes do, sometimes you go to that break expecting a little help and it doesn't happen, and he did a nice job not to lock up and hurt the tires, and that's pretty crucial. Look, I think this is Cole in the number 27, and he got caught up in the early going here. The team McCann Racing, the no-shock McCann Racing Yeti Coolers Audi, and he's working his way up through the TCA field as he works up, but at the sharp end of that field it continues to be Whitmer leading from Pombo and Haldeman at this stage. Haldeman has been able to sneak around P.J. Gronke.
The battle for position we're looking at, but right there's our leader in TCA, Whitmer. Pombo relatively close to him in that mini.
Exactly, then it's Cole in the middle there in that Audi, the TCR Cup category machine, behind Pombo. See the orange X Factor Honda Civic. Yep, Haldeman and then Gronke. Oh, that's a little bit of a moment here as, again, Cole trying to work through, and obviously Haldeman didn't realize he was there. That's one of the real, have to see now whether Haldeman, who's shown some pace in that X Factor Civic, if that car damaged at all in that exchange. Lap times usually tell the tale on that, and we'll keep an eye. Here comes Whitmer. Boy, he moved way down to the inside. I think he wanted to make it very clear to Cole, if you're going to go around the outside and go.
Yes.
Because
I'm in a battle right here, so if you want to get by me, just try and gap me. And now they can resume focusing on each other here, the Mini and the Subaru of Whitmer and Pombo.
Well, you know, I'm pretty sure the tech sport crew would have probably radioed Nick and said, that Audi coming, obviously he's not in your class, but he also just had some contact. He may not be healthy. Give him a lot of room. And Nick pretty savvy doing exactly that.
Again, we talked about that BOP test last weekend. We've got 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 in the TCA class. Mazda MX-5 Global Cup cars have also shown a lot of pace here this weekend, demonstrated by the pole for race 1.
And those cars are just so easy on their tires. It's unfortunate that Tyler Maxson had that incident, because I think he could have been somebody to really watch for as this race unfolds here.
Pombo's really close to Whitman now as they head down that long back stretch. There you can see them just disappearing over the crest in the straightaway. Whitmer with the lead, looking for his second victory on the weekend. Pombo there, filling his mirrors, thinking about it, looking to the inside, dancing on the brakes.
And then behind him, there you see Haldeman, there's Gronke, and behind Gronke now is a heck of a queue. The number 47, or 77, excuse me, another X Factor Racing Honda, Taylor Hagler in the black armor. Entry behind him, Jose De Silva. It's nice to have Jose running in this championship in his MX-5 Global Cup car. Right behind him is Norenberg in the team entry to Pombo. And then Sufi. Again, probably trying to be fairly gentle on the gearbox so Dad can get home.
Yeah. A great little battle here. Silva's looking really racy in that white MX-5 Cup machine you can see in the middle of the screen.
It's the South 6 Pipes Motorsports entry.
Another gap in Pombo a little bit through that stadium section. They climb the hill one more time. Halfway through this race, obviously lost a little bit of time with that caution period. I think for anyone who's having any tire degradation issues yesterday, that will certainly be a little bit of help here by shortening the green flag running time.
And again, we've talked on and off throughout the weekend about how this track in spots has been milled, and it's made it a little bit more abrasive, and the only way you find out just what that tire deg is going to be is by throwing it around like that.
Woo! Busy on the wheel there.
That's a Nick Whitmer trademark.
Fun part of the racetrack, you can really attack, and those S's are relentless. They just keep coming at you. You need the platform and the tires underneath you to survive, to get to the finish. Then you have a chance to let everything catch its breath down the back straightaway.
Really strong battle for the lead in Touring Car A. Continues, doesn't it, with Whitmer, Pombo, and Haldeman, and Gronke and the rest of the field here at this stage.
Philippi just laid down the fastest lap of the race. Last go around at a 121.3. Pretty close to his 121 flat that he ran yesterday. But Vincent is not going away. He's matching him.
Yeah, he sure is.
Almost identical lap times there, so the gap stays the same up front. Can this FCP Euro team take the charge and the challenge to the front on that Hyundai?
You see Hertzen right there in third, just not quite running laps as quick as his teammate Vincent. And Walker in the Alpha a little bit farther back, and not really a surprise considering how late they got the car. They haven't had a lot of running in it, and he's making the adjustment to that type of car. Still at a fairly impressive performance with the times he's turning. Leading the TCR Cup continues to be the 47 of Alain Lazière.
Philippi looking very strong, but Vincent is not going away. First chance they've had to run since they made the switch to the sequential gearbox configuration on these FCP Euro machines, running in the second and third position. Instead, it's really just transformed them in terms of the weight distribution, the acceleration factor, where there's not the slight delay as you go through the gears on acceleration runs like this one here.
And of course, the question that if you're not familiar, you might be asking, well, why isn't everybody running a sequential box? Well, because they're very expensive, and you have to, not just in terms of initial price, but also you rebuild them a little bit more. The DSG box, much more economical to run, but it's a little heavier, and where it has to be mounted in the car, I think, is what you were talking about, where that affects how the balance of the car can be altered just a little bit. And to try and when I was talking to the team and Nate Vincent, he said, yeah, the problem was, he said, you'd end up, because of where that gearbox is mounted, the cross weights on the car were really difficult to get right. And so, nice thing is, a TCR Cup car is still a very, very potent race car and an opportunity to get out and run, but you're just not going to run with a sequential gearbox car. And I think it's a great idea to create the Cup class.
And the two leaders here, but analyzing the data, Walker has really come alive. He just laid down the best second sector of anyone in this race, along with a personal best on sector one. So that Alpha running in the fourth position behind this lead trio is starting to come alive, like we saw yesterday, a lot better later in the run.
It's interesting, in each of the sectors, it's a different driver who right now has the fastest time in that sector. First sector is Hertzen, Walker in the second sector, and Philippi in the third sector.
Vincent just got the fastest lap of the race at 2:21.0, quicker than Philippi, so the lead gap is being compressed.
There's Walker running in the fourth spot, the 34 Reese Alpha, and then Lazière is just hanging right in there, doing a superb job in that TCR Cup car, number 47 from Alpha Sonic Motorsports.
Walker, personal best sector one. This Alpha is absolutely flying, is coming alive once he gets the tire temps and the pressure's up. Gains that confidence. Had a really poor third sector, otherwise I thought he had a chance of maybe setting the fastest lap of the race. Let's see what he can put together here, but the first sector is some 6/10 quicker than Vincent, who's running in the second position. That's remarkable.
It's great to see Walker coming to grips with it. And as we heard in the interview that Ryan did, he's done a lot more front drive racing than the rear drive Ferrari Challenge, and wanted to get back into something like that. And I think he's starting to get his game back, as they say.
Really is. His business is in crash data analysis and develops ABS systems, so I'm sure he can give the team really good technical feedback about what the Alpha is doing. He's now gone purple, sector 1, sector 2. Purple meaning the fastest of anyone in this race. James Walker is absolutely flying.
Alain Lausière in the number 47 Alpha Sonic Audi continues to lead in the TCR Cup category, and in fact is, I think, maybe getting some motivation and trying to stay with what has become now a rather rapidly fleeing James Walker in the Alpha, putting together some very good sector times. You've been watching, Cal.
Maybe asking his team, what's going on? Am I slow? They're saying, no, the Alpha is just really quick. See if Walker could complete the deal here. Get the trifecta. He's fastest sector 1, sector 2. See what he can come across the line with.
21.0.
Personal best, but just shy by 0.05 of a second on the fastest lap of the race. But he has got the hammer down. This is fun.
That
He's
lap,
having fun too.
Yeah, I was going to say that lap almost 2 seconds quicker than Hertzen up in front of him at this stage. He's got some ground he's got to make up. But if he keeps lapping at that kind of a speed difference, he could close up and might still have something to say about who's on that podium.
Philippi there really rotating the car really nicely, just took the back inside wheel through that right hander to get it to turn. It's a young man who's really learning this craft very, very quickly. He was running around some very experienced drivers last year like Ryan Eversley,
yes,
Michael Lewis, Mark Wilkins. You learn a lot really quickly when you're around guys that are that quick and that experienced, and nice guys who are willing to share their information.
And that's key, and those guys exactly are. And he obviously is a sponge and just absorbed everything here. But I'll tell you what, very impressive run by Vincent. He is not only not going away at times, he closes that margin up. It's at a 2.5 seconds last time by. I don't think it's that now.
Right down his personal best first sector, pretty equal with Philippi in sector 2. Letting him get away.
He certainly isn't.
Really tweaked on those FCP Euro cars last night and got those VWs a little bit quicker for today's race. He's set up for a really nice season.
Yeah, it really is, and I think after last year, and they were a little frustrated as they just didn't have the speed of the sequential gearbox cars. They said, look, let's do this right, and FCP Euro and that team stepped up. They put it together. What's the margin?
New fast lap by Philippi. That means he's going to extend it by half a second there on that lap. So maybe Philippi's got a little bit in hand still. As he saw Vincent getting relatively close. Laid down a really good lap.
Going for Vincent right now, he needs to get by that lap car before they get into the serious part of these S's, or he is going to lose a lot of time. Remember, these TCR cars have a lot of downforce. He got him. The 95 of Ben Bettenhausen. Another of the Tech Sports Subarus, third cousin to IndyCar legend Gary Bettenhausen.
Really good through there, doesn't he? That Hyundai really handled well.
Changing direction.
They have a really big contingency fund too for anyone who's campaigning one of their cars this year.
They've really stepped it up, and they are making it feasible and attractive for people to run those cars, and that's exactly what you want to do. Established a North American distributor for the cars, so I mean the program's in place, isn't it?
It really is, and it's turnkey, and you can see what someone can do and just show up here and immediately run on pace. Admittedly, Mason has experience with the car, but not with this team running that car, that is.
Right. so far doing a nice job. He's able to get through the traffic almost as smoothly as Philippi, and that is keeping him in the hunt here. And Lazier continues to lead in the TCR Cup class, although a recovering Michael McCann is putting in some good laps here and has just moved up to 6th overall, 2nd in class.
Whitmer continues to lead, as you can see, in TCA. Pombo not letting him get away. He is going to be who has the best car underneath them for the final 4 or 5 laps here. It looks comfortable, but Mark is a dogged competitor. He's not going to let him get away without a fight.
You can see the orange Civic, the X-Factor Civic of Haldeman in the background. Kind of a lonely third right now. He's got about 3-second deficit to these two, and he's 3 seconds ahead of Gronke.
These cars just getting quicker and quicker. Both these drivers laid down their fastest lap of the race last time by the stripe.
So what was that transition like? That was an Audi area and a rear-wheel drive mid-engine car. Here you have a front-wheel drive front-engine car. Yeah, which is a Honda Civic.
And it's got to report this car, the number 69. Haldeman might end up getting a drive-through penalty.
I wonder if he was involved with that incident.
Well, he and was it Cole? I think in the 27 Audi, they had that side to side.
Oh, that's right.
And I wonder if that might be it.
Pombo hanging tough.
Boy, isn't he?
He seems to have a little bit of an edge in straightaway speed over the Subaru, and that's where he's closing the gap a little bit.
Very different lines those two were running there through turn 13 and 14, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Mini seems to like to shortcut the circuit and take the short way around. A little bit more flow with Whitmer in the Subaru.
When you get into that section of the track, it's so tight and twisty. That Mini's got a much shorter wheelbase. Is that part of the equation, possibly?
For sure. Just is able to turn a little bit quicker. Long wheelbase cars should feel better in the high speed sections.
And Whitmer continues to lead, but there's confirmation now. The 69 of Haldeman from X-Factor Racing, unfortunately, looks like he may have a drive down pit lane after the contact with Cole in the Audi a bit earlier, and there he is.
Yeah, that's going to cost you over 30 seconds compared to the field, so it's going to drop him way down the order with not a lot of time left on the clock to respond to that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he was in a podium position and certainly was quick. And look at this now, as Gronke behind him has the battle as De Silva trying to get by Hagler. That's the 07, the white Mazda of De Silva, and the bright yellow and black Civic of Hagler. And Nuremberg's right in that mix too.
4 different manufacturers. You can throw a blanket over there. Subaru, Honda, Mazda, Mini.
And about 7 minutes left in this one. This is the battle for, well, it will be for the final podium spot with Haldeman's drive-through. That was a wiggle.
Sideways there. Trying to tighten it up and keep the power down. 2 didn't mix. Hangs on to it. Hagler's got a run on him. Can he get down to the inside? Yes, he does. Does he open up the door for everyone else? Pombo's suddenly out there.
Pombo's alongside De Silva. There's a touch.
Nuremberg down to the inside.
Oh, Nuremberg broke maybe.
Suddenly couldn't accelerate off the corner. He's back up to speed again now, so I'm not sure if he's just out of the power band. Turbocharged engine on that Mini. Philippi and the rest of the TCR gang are going to be coming up on this little battle. That could be
here he comes.
Fraught at times, trying to clear through this when they're engaged in this sort of duel.
Gronke taking a look at Nuremberg down into 12. Couldn't get it done, but it got Nuremberg wide. Boy, and this is going to be fascinating because these guys are in their own battle. They don't have to just move out of the way for the overall race leader. And Phillippe's going to get aggressive, and Vincent has to as well if he wants to stay in this. Philippe trying to work the outside.
Vincent's getting closer. Phillippe's kind of got stuck in traffic here and has cost him some time. Look how close Vincent is right now. He's going to sweep around the outside of that Mini in that high-speed section. Quite get there, has to wait, so
that cost him.
That took the advantage back again.
But, wiggle there by De Silva, turning into 19. Phillippe might get, he's not. Oh, Vincent is there. This is opportunity here in this last 5 minutes.
This is great stuff.
You see the horsepower difference.
Clear this traffic here before turn one. Yes, they do. Phillippe's through. Vincent goes with him. But it's only a half-second gap between the leaders right now with under 5 minutes to go.
This is where we're going to see whether Phillippe, you alluded to it, is he saving just a little bit? For just such this occurrence?
It's time to spend it.
Boy, isn't it? Make that withdrawal. Yeah, Vincent almost looks a little tidier.
Yeah, he does. He's doing a really nice job. I really rate him as a driver. Didn't have the chance to really demonstrate. I think the team were going through some learning process with these TCR machines last year, but they've come back out of the gate really strong, investing in the sequential gearbox. A couple of the big teams have gone away in terms of Brian Herter Autosport and real-time racing, so it's opened up the door for some of these smaller operations to really strut their stuff.
Right out of turn at number 11. Long run here. We should be getting the white flag this time by, I think.
To see who's got the straightaway advantage down here. I think that the Volkswagen may be a little bit strong. We'll wait and see as they hit the speed trap coming into turn 12. Yes, he's got about 3 miles an hour on him, obviously picking up the draft from that Hyundai a little bit, but certainly the Volkswagen really strong in that sector. He is really close.
Yeah, and with that speed advantage, if he can be right there coming out of 11 the next lap, if he's not figured out someplace else to go by.
Traffic up ahead that will encounter before they see the checkered flag here this afternoon.
I'm not sure, maybe they're running about 220, 224s.
I think there's 2 laps to go.
I think you're right. That was a bit too conservative. There's a look at Walker as he's coming through the traffic.
7 seconds behind Hertz, and looked like he had a good run going there, and then his lap times peaked a little bit. Certainly a very impressive debut weekend for him in TCR competition.
Absolutely. Right behind him, that bright yellow X-Factor Civic of Hagler, now sitting in a podium position. So while his teammate Haldeman had to do that drive-through, Hagler there was able to sneak by Andranki and finds himself up in podium position with De Silva. This is a great run for Jose. As he said, he's never really been able to put together a full program. He shows up when you're only running on occasion. Oftentimes you can't really show what the competitive level you are here. And first race of the season, he's here and he's 4th. That's a great run. Holding off a very experienced driver, Nate Norenberg. He's been able to gap it a bit now, hasn't
Yeah,
he?
he's got the hammer down when the pressure was on. He was able to respond here. I think he'd like to get a bit more of a buffer than he had before when he encountered traffic. He can see the traffic up ahead, thinking, I don't want to be stymied like I was before and almost lost the lead of this race, particularly with less than a couple of minutes to go.
2 guys he's coming up on, Whitmer and Pombo. I mean, these guys are very savvy, and if they can let these guys through without hurting themselves, they'll let him do it.
He thinks about it, gives it up. This is going to cost him a little bit of time.
He just didn't have the confidence to just throw it down there, did he?
Good news for Vincent is typically when the traffic sees one car come through there, then got their eyeballs looking for another one. Yeah, Pombo very kind there and is going to cost himself a lot of lap time in his chase of Whitmer for the lead in TCA.
think for Whitmer, if he can just let him through quickly, he would do that because he doesn't want to be side by side with them at the apex and cost him time. And he does exactly that. Ooh, see where Vincent tries, not going to get him into 20.
Not close enough. Nicely gauged though by Whitmer. He could see that the gap was big enough for him to get back online and just run his normal line and pace through that final corner. 1 lap to go.
White flag is out. Can Vincent find something? Can he get Mason to make a little mistake?
Philippi looking for the clean sweep. Really has displayed great tenacity and poise here this weekend. They had the pole position yesterday taken away from him for a boost infraction in qualifying, so he had to start at the back of the TCR pack. Cut his way through very quickly. He was up in the top 5 immediately and eventually took the win. Came under pressure here a couple of laps ago, cutting through traffic, but has handled it nicely. Regrouped, got back in a rhythm. Just needs to hit his marks and bring it home.
Time has expired. Take a look there at the tower on the left side of your screen. You can see all the various manufacturers involved just in these 2 classes. Come out of turn 11 for the last time. Here's that long run. Vincent just not close enough. There's Whitmer. Lead in TCA.
Some the gaps in both classes.
Heavy braking here. A lot of downforce in these TCR cars. They can go in really deep.
These cars will be competing next weekend in the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. So it's a busy start to this championship season for all of these teams.
Boy, as agile and fast as these things are in a street circuit, they have got to be a blast.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one to see them campaign around that very tight but neat St. Petersburg Grand Prix circuit.
Here we go, last time out of 18, 19. Couple of corners to go for Mason Filippi to start the season off with a double win. See if he can hang on to it. To the last corner onto the front straight. And the Hyundai Veloster goes 1-2 in both races, ends up sweeping both, but a great run by Nate Vincent in the VW Golf TCR machine with some great speed for second, and a battle here for third. Look at Walker has run down Hertzen, not enough. Hertzen able to hang on to it, Cal, and then Whitmer bringing home his second win in a row for the Tech Sport Subaru BRZ program, and fending off a pretty talented Mark Combo as well. In TCR Cup, looks like Lazier was able to hang on, but late in the race, Brian Putt finding speed, got around McCann Jr. And Brian Putt, after a rough race yesterday, comes home second today. What a great run for him.
How did Walker get to the back of Hertzen? By setting the fastest lap of the race on the very final lap, just like he did yesterday, his personal best yesterday. What a performance by Risi Competizione and the Alfa Romeo Giulietta.
Absolutely, outrunning Filippi, not by a lot, by what, like 91 thousandths of a second? But that was impressive. And again, great drive by Vincent. It's going to, this bodes for a nice championship as this season unfolds. Again, Lazier, Putt. Oh, and at the end, Chan able to sneak by McCann Jr. as well. So that actually puts Chan up on the podium in the number 45 entry. That's a great day.
What's going on that last lap?
Wasn't there?
So TCR, Mason Filippi, Vincent and Herzog top out.
And that's Nelson Chan, teammate to Alain Lazier. So that's got 2 of those Alpha Sonic entries on the podium in the TCR Cup category. And then Whitmer, Pombo, and Hagler. I think of 3 different manufacturers. 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 in TCA. 3 of them on the podium.
Filippi running offline there, trying to pick up some debris on the tires. All sorts of technical checks are done on these cars after the race. Ride height is one of them, so if you can kind of snowball those tires up and pick up some marbles on the tire itself, kind of gives it a false ride height in case you're running a little bit close to the limits.
Yeah, so all three classes putting together some really solid racing here. What a fun one to call. And as the cars completing their cool-down laps, making their way into pit lane, I'm sure Ryan Marine has been doing wind sprints down there to warm up just a little bit. He'll be ready to go as the field makes their way in. Good competition in both of the, if you will, classes within the TCR division. And that's exciting for the rest of the season as well.
It really is. I mean, I think it's been a brilliant opening weekend in all of the classes here. We've obviously got the GT3 machinery to see for the final time later in the day, but some really good racing. Not too many incidents, obviously a couple of big ones, but it's been good, clean racing, and this racetrack certainly provides that ample runoff room in most areas. It's a track that the drivers really enjoy.
Absolutely. And for Danny Sufi, 6th place finish, only a second and a half off of a top 5, and a healthy gearbox to put back in Dad's car. So
Dad will be happy.
Everybody executed beautifully there. None better, though, than this young man, Mason Filippi, as he brings that Hyundai Veloster N down into the staging area below the podium. You can see the congratulations. 2 wins on the weekend. And there is Nick Whitmer, who can lay claim to the same stat.
Yep, sweeping the weekend. Good way to start. Get the points in the bag.
Absolutely. Yeah, love eavesdropping on the congratulations. Yeah, great problem. There's Eric Powell. He was such a factor in the TCA championship last year, wasn't he? He's taking care of the teams at this stage, but let's head over now to Ryan Marine as the helmet's off on Mason Filippi.
A sweep of the weekend for you, Mason. Congratulations. Just how hooked up was this car this weekend?
The Veloster and TCR performed great. It was a great car. I have to give a shout out to TFB. They've been great all weekend. We've been just going through the weekend, and we're really enjoying it here. And COTA is an awesome track, especially for this car. And I'm just extremely happy right now.
How big of a difference is it, this car, from the one you raced last year?
It's definitely different, and they handle differently, and that was kind of some of the learning curve with it, but they're both really close. I was really happy to compete with Vincent. He was on my tail the whole time, and it's a great race.
It was indeed. Thanks so much, and congratulations. Let's go ahead and move on here and get to our TCA winner, Nick Whitmer. He's debriefing a little bit here, but Nick, let's step in and get your thoughts. Congratulations on another win, 2 in a row to start the season. Well done.
I mean, can't say much more than that. Almost did a full clean sweep on the weekend. Just in qualify, messed up a little bit in qualify, but I can't complain. The Tech Sport Motorsport team, they did a great job. Subaru Motorsport USA. I mean, the car's there for me. Everything was there. There was nothing wrong with it. We can't complain about anything. Like, I'm speechless. Like a win-win on one weekend. I love COTA. I'm always going to come back here for sure.
Sounds like a plan. Hey, congratulations. Well done.
Thank you very much.
You could not only hear the wind, you could see it. Almost took that head off. Yeah, they were saying it could happen. Here's another look at the provisional results, and there's your podium overall. Filippi, Vincent, and Hertzen in the Hyundai and the 2 VWs. Great drive late, fast lap by Walker. Then Lazier, Putt, and Chan putting the Audis 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th overall, but that is the podium in the TCR Cup category. And then Pombo, not quite enough to be able to unseat Nick Whitmer, who gets 2 wins in a row in the Subaru, the Mini, and the Honda on the podium in the TCA category. And you can hear Whitmer talking about that, and Eric Powell making the commitment this year to make sure that these cars are entered. And Deborah Papalizio and Kevin Anderson, you can hear Whitmer's comments about the effort that this team is putting forward. It's pretty good.
It really is. It's a total team effort. You need the people behind you. You've got to have the platform in the manufacturer and the support there as well. But ultimately, he executed to perfection and maximum point score. Really nice.
Yeah, true. And for the touring car divisions, the TCR, as you pointed out, TCR and TCR Cup class will be running for a points race in a week. It's on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. For the TCA and TC classes, they will be coming up and running at Virginia International Raceway in April. But we see any action like we saw as we take a look at the highlights here. This is going to be a wonderful season. A couple of big lockups going up the hill, and one of them involving a couple of cars. No contact. It was more avoidance, I think. But certainly for Cole and that silver Audi, it made for a long day.
It really did, which is a shame. And this may have been a touch here. You see in the beginning, because Maxon eventually ended up in the fence.
And there it is. And that's after they'd already pulled him out. And you can see the safer barriers doing the job beautifully. And then it got real interesting right there. Mike McCann having a little bit of a spin, and Lazier doing a superb, or Chan doing a superb job of avoidance here. And then it was Filippi just under control the whole way onto the front straight. And you can see the checker flag flying as he came by and grabbed his second win of the weekend here. Great way to start it. And here's the attack for that final podium position. Boy, Walker found speed late, and right behind them, there was Whitmer earning his second straight win of the weekend as well over Pombo. So that wraps up our Touring Car R and Touring Car A coverage from a chilly Circuit of the Americas. Thank you so much for joining us. I think we're in for a fun season.